Hey, I'm John, and this is How to Be Human. We've been at this journey towards self-improvement for a while now. We're growing, we're reshaping our thoughts, challenging our schemas, and learning, right? Well, I think it's time that we turn up the heat. This week's topic is something that I think we could all use help with. It reveals our true nature, and it's vital to our collaboration in this human experiment. I'm talking about forgiveness. So, full disclosure, I mess up a lot. I am outspoken, opinionated, and I step on a lot of toes. But know this isn't something that I'm proud of. It's actually something that I'm working to change. But along the way, I have to make a lot of apologies. As a matter of fact, I think my wife will likely be canonized before this thing is said and done. But know that if you're a friend or a family member, or even somebody on the street, you're important to me, and I want to be in right relationship with you. And so, please, forgive me. Apologies are hard. Can we agree on that? I think the reason they're hard is because we have to admit that we're not perfect, and the charade falls apart. Apologies are humbling and vulnerable experiences. And sometimes when we apologize, the person we've offended isn't quite ready to accept our apology yet. I hate that feeling. But I think apologies are important because when we do the hard thing and accept the subtle sting of humiliation, our brain creates this checkpoint and we're less likely to do that offense again. But let's get back to forgiveness. Why would somebody be unwilling to forgive in the first place? That's a legitimate question. I'd love to hear the answer. I think it depends on the person, but please feel free to leave your answer in the comment section below. But while I'm waiting, I'm gonna venture a few guesses. You've probably heard it said that trust is a cornerstone of a healthy relationship. It's a big deal when your boyfriend cheats on you, or when you find out that your friend is talking about you behind your back. We talked about the importance of vulnerability in the last episode, but it's really hard to be vulnerable with someone if you can't trust them. Trust them to keep your secrets. Trust them to be accepting of your insecurities. Trust them to stick around, or trust them to help you grow. Once that trust is broken, the other person might question if we're safe, and they might need to check the track record to make sure that we're worth reconciling with. Remember back to elementary school, there was always one kid who seemed to get away with murder. That kid was not me. I never got away with anything. It's probably because I knew better. But it never seemed fair to me. And that's my point. Most of us care about fairness. Relationships are at their best when both parties don't take more than they give, and everyone treats each other as though they have value. Things fall apart when one person doesn't hold up their end of the bargain. And it's really hard to want to forgive somebody when they're not treating you with the respect that you deserve. This last one's kind of dark, but that doesn't mean it's not true. When we feel wrong, we can start to get an inflated ego. It's easy to feel morally superior to the offender, and it feels kind of nice to lord something over somebody's head. There's a sense of vindication, and withholding forgiveness can feel a lot like rebalancing the scales of justice. But do you really want to be known as someone who's vindictive? So we've discussed why somebody would be unwilling to forgive. And if you answered that last question, no, then there's some action for you to take. However, if you do want to be vengeful or spiteful or angry, then you can turn off the video now. But before you go, I should warn you that there's a poisonous nature to that way of living, as a way of robbing people of their ability to have lasting joy.
Forgiveness is more than saying sorry.
Well, I think to answer that question, we have to first talk about what forgiveness isn't. Forgiveness isn't allowing people to just walk all over you. It's not immediately regaining the warm and fuzzies for the person who hurt you. It's not forgetting about the way they betrayed your trust or pretending like the thing never happened. And forgiveness isn't necessarily figuring out a way to mend the relationship. That process is actually called reconciliation, and in order to be successful, it requires both parties being on board. I might be wrong, but I think of forgiveness as it's more of a choice. A choice to not view the person who offended you through the lens of how they hurt you, but rather as a fallible human being like yourself. I know it's hard, but I think it might be worthwhile. But let's talk about this in a different way, in terms of debt forgiveness. I happen to fall into the category with a lot of other millennials, people who have significant student loan debt, and I pay for those things every month. Were the lending practices predatory? Likely. Could I have chosen a different educational pathway? Sure. But month by month, I'm trying to find a responsible way to pay them back. And it comes at great cost. I basically traded my college education for the ability to buy a house several years down the road. And the waiting, it has sucked. But if those loans were to be forgiven, I would feel such a relief. And honestly, I'd be free. And that sounds great. For those of you who think my logic's off, I assure you, those banks have made every penny that I borrowed from them back. I'm not resting on my laurels waiting for a handout. I pay over the minimum every month to those bloodsuckers. The point is, there's reason to forgive for both parties. The offender gets the privilege of being viewed as human, and the offended gets to live a life free of the poison of resentment, a life with opportunities for joy and kindness and trust and healthy relationships. Before I wrap this up, I gotta say one thing. The thing that I'm proposing is hard. The world can be a scary place with ill-intentioned people. There's rapists, there's racists, there's murderers, there's thieves. I don't know what tragedy has befallen the story of your life, and I can't even begin to imagine some of the pain that you've experienced. And I think that you deserve every opportunity for joy, for trust, and for healthy relationships. Don't you? Think about it. Even though it's hard, I think forgiveness is a vital part of how to be human. Forgiveness, it's a beast. It's a big, scary monster. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but I think it's worth it. I hope this has been helpful for some of you guys. I know we're getting into the deep end of the pool, talking about like intimacy and forgiveness. Those are, back to back. Those are hard. But if you like this one, go ahead and give us a subscribe, hit that like button, but also share it. Maybe it could help somebody. I don't know. I don't know that I'm that important, but I do think that the conversations I've had with my friends have been important, and those shaped this conversation. So, I don't know. That's all. See you in the next one. Bye.